Aaron Bryce here, statewide corner of ISPS. Very excited to have Bemetra Simmons, President and CEO of the Tampa Bay Partnership. Today we'll be doing a part of our economic development interview series, but very excited to have you. So thank you, Bemetra.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So we'll just kick it off and start with the first question. So as President and CEO of the Tampa Bay Partnership, what would you say are the underlying economic drivers that you believe are necessary to drive sustainable growth across the state of Florida?
Well, first of all, thank you for letting me join you today. I would just say a couple things are really important when you're looking at sustainable growth across, our area. One is you got to kind of take a look at a lot of the different indicators that we track in our competitiveness report. I'll start first by looking at, you can't talk about development without talking about the talent pipeline. So we're looking at everything from, early learning to which is looking at what our students, how prepared our students are for kindergarten. Are they reading at third grade level? And we're looking at everything from disconnected youth, which are young people ages 16 to 24 that are neither enrolled in school nor are they working. And then last but not least, looking at trying to get our employers to shift their hiring practices from, putting a 4-year degree requirement on everything or a 2-year degree requirement, and then looking at more skills-based and experience-based hiring.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. Sounds like it's definitely a collaborative approach, which is always wonderful to see, especially in economic development in Florida. For our next question, what strategies is the Tampa Bay Partnership employing to foster collaboration between Tampa Bay and other regions throughout Florida?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we really pride ourselves in doing here at the partnership is convening and activating us as a region. So I love this question, and we do that a couple different ways. One, we stay very closely aligned with our economic development organizational partners throughout the counties in the region, with our chambers, our downtown partnerships, even organizations like the West Shore Alliance and our Visit Tampa Bay and Visit St. Pete bureaus. The other thing that we do is we hold quarterly meetings with county commissioners from around the region, what we call our regional roundtables. It gives us an opportunity to kick around a topic, whether it be housing or workforce or economic development, you name it, and let our counties hear from one another about what they're doing and how they might be able to learn and share best practices with one another. And last but not least, everything that we do is rooted in data. As you know, we put out an annual competitiveness report, and each summer we get over 100 stakeholders together to talk about the indicators that we're tracking. Are they the right indicators to track? Should we be revisiting them? And then how are we comparing against other markets from around the country?
Fantastic. It's really exciting to hear about how all the counties are working together in that way, and that it is such a data-driven approach. I think that's really important. So moving on to our next one. Workforce development is a critical issue statewide. What initiatives is the Tampa Bay Partnership involved with to address skills gaps and prepare specifically the workforce for future economic challenges across the state?
So we have some wonderful existing programs here in our community. A great one is an example of the partnership between St. Pete College and Duke Energy with their line worker program. We've got a program that Yvonne Fry is running over in Hillsborough County with high school students. Our opportunity at the partnership is to learn about all those different things, help amplify those programs, and more importantly, see how we can scale them so that instead of helping 10, 20 students, we can help hundreds of students throughout the region. Another way that we do that is working to better understand existing efforts that are happening at the municipal level. So for example, we just convened a group of our financial services investors along with the housing experts within, Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas County at both the city and the county level to make sure that there aren't any families out there that aren't aware of programs and they're leaving assistance and dollars on the table. So we think those types of convenings and opportunities are really great for us. Last but not least, I think that, we've seen from other communities that they've done something what I call big bets. So I'll use New York City as an example. They've got a partnership between the city of New York, their state community colleges, and their largest employers to take 100,000 New Yorkers and put them that are in low wage jobs today and put them in livable wage positions. I think we have an opportunity to do something like that here, where we can convene the public, private, academic, and municipal sectors and see how we can make a big bet here in Tampa Bay as well.
Wow, that's really fascinating. And for us over ISPS, we're actually working on a workforce initiatives in Florida program that highlights the partnership between SBC and Duke, as well as the other state colleges around the state of Florida. So it's particularly exciting to hear about some of the ideas and collaboration and energy that's going on in that space. Moving on to the next question. Infrastructure and transportation are vital to economic growth. How is the Tampa Bay Partnership working with state and local entities to improve infrastructure and transportation networks? And what are the major challenges and opportunities in this area?
Sure. So as I mentioned at the top of this conversation, the Tampa Bay Partnership, in collaboration with United Way Suncoast and Community Foundation, puts out an annual regional competitiveness report. And we track everything from economic vitality to educational attainment to transportation and infrastructure to civic quality. There's over about 60 indicators that we're tracking, and about 10 of them are solely focused on transportation and infrastructure. Unfortunately, we're in the bottom quartile of our 19 city competitive set in each of those categories. So one of the things that we've been doing to work at both the state and local level is lifting up this idea of combining our three largest counties in the MSA, which are Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco, into a single transportation planning organization. For those who may not be familiar, we have 8 counties in the region and 7 transportation planning organizations. As of today, at least I heard this morning, so I hope this is accurate because I'm quoting someone else. We don't have very many projects that are in any of the local transportation planning organizations, long-range plans that combine projects across the county level. So by merging into a single transportation planning organization, it gives us an opportunity to plan at the regional level instead of county by county. So that's one of the ways that we're doing that, taking a holistic view on what we need from a transportation infrastructure. Another example would be, just looking at better options for us from a transportation planning perspective. I like to say we can't let perfect get in the way of good. You have people who are pro-transit, people who are pro-passenger rail, people who are pro rapid bus transit. From our perspective here at the partnership, we need to press all of those levers in order to be most effective here in the region.
Absolutely. And it's interesting you mentioned that as well, because we're working on a transportation program over in Tampa that's going to lean on some of the expertise of some of our region's top transportation experts, including some folks from Tampa International Airport, Port Tampa, and maybe even FDOT. So to your point, there's definitely a lot of synergy across some of these counties in the areas of infrastructure and transportation. So very exciting to hear about some of the ideas and efforts going on with the Tampa Bay Partnership.
I'm more encouraged than I've ever been about this topic, so thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, it's good news. We're glad to hear it. So for the final question, housing affordability. It's increasingly important for economic competitiveness. How do you see these efforts impacting Florida's future economic landscape?
This is a critical issue for us here in the region and obviously here in the state. We're fortunate here in Tampa Bay in that basically all of our counties are in growth mode. But what's happening with that growth is our wages are not keeping up with rental and home sales price costs. And so people are being pushed further out, and we just discussed, without really anything public for them to come back in. So in our region today, for every dollar that our residents earn, they're spending 57 cents on just their housing and transportation costs. They haven't eaten anything yet, right? That's just housing and transportation. So we've got to get our arms around this. This is a part of a three-legged stool. That's not just housing. It's where you work, what kind of job you have, how close do you work to work, how close do you live to work, and then how do you get there? And so we have to have options for our residents that are outside of them just getting in a vehicle and driving, especially as the housing is being pushed further out. We are really excited in that we have received 2 grants, one from Duke Energy Foundation and one from JP Morgan Chase. But the JP Morgan Chase grant is specifically going to allow us to do a housing needs assessment for Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco County. So we'll be able to see a gap of how many units do we have today, but more importantly, how many will we need in 5, 7, 10 years from now? And then also to do a pipeline report, see what's coming off a line in terms of housing affordability options. So these are some things that we're working on to try to address this housing crisis that we're in right now here in the region.
Well, it's to your point, there is so much intersection between, housing, transportation, and infrastructure. So it's definitely heartwarming to hear that there's some active strides being made to move the needle on those issues, particularly in this region and across the state. So I know here at ISPS, we're excited to continue learning about all the great work you're up to over there, the Tampa Bay Partnership. But I just want to thank you so much for your time and for joining us today. It's been a wonderful conversation. I think it's going to contribute to our economic development interview series very well. But thank you so much for joining us today, Bemetra.
Thank you so much for having me, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.